And Alan, let's talk about this. I think the resignations number is the highest we've ever seen. So this is definitely a take this job and shove it market. What does that mean for employees, and what does that mean for employers as we head into the new year?
Well, Becky, I mean, it's actually a great time to be an employee. Let's face it, it's a seller's market for talent. And if you are a competent and a good employee that works hard, makes a great contribution to your company, you're going to be in high demand, ideally at your own company, but also at other companies that would love to have you come in and help them.
Are there certain areas, certain industries where that's really the case more than others?
Actually, one of the unique things about this particular recovery, Becky, is that it's literally across the board. Durable goods, for example, had significant job losses during the pandemic. That's everything from washing machines to automobiles, and the data says that that sector has actually recovered and actually is looking to add more jobs than they had pre-pandemic. So basically, across the board, phenomenal demand for talent, and it's been brewing for 20 years, and it's finally come to a head.
We were just talking about how wages overall were up just 2.8% in the last 5 months alone. When you're talking about the high end of the talent scale, what kind of increases are you seeing in the contracts that you're writing up right now?
Becky, we're seeing, what I would consider to be unprecedented jumps in compensation. This is going to be a bit of an outlier example, but I was at lunch with a CEO about a week before the holidays. We finished the lunch and he said, I've got to go back now and spend $1 million on somebody. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, I've got to move somebody from $1.5 million to $2.5 million a year in compensation in order to keep that person on my team because they got another offer from another company. That's a pretty significant outlier, but anecdotally, that gives you a sense for the froth and the frenzy that's occurring in terms of professional level and then executive level compensation.
Don't reveal my personal information, Alan.
Sorry.
That was all I was weighing in with. I mean, actually, okay. I will follow that up, but because, I mean, in the financial space, we always talk about huge bonuses at the end of the year. And even though this has been a bumper year, and last year was too, that there's been on the surface an idea that, well, there's been the pandemic going on and you can't be seen to pay too much. So has there actually been enough under the surface people paid bonuses to be satisfied, or is in fact there's actually dissatisfaction even if they've been given bonuses?
So actually compensation is a hygiene factor. So the reality is people leave companies' cultures and people leave their manager. So the real question is the compensation adequate and quite frankly so competitive that one would tolerate an environment that's not ideal? That's not all that common, especially in a high demand market like this. So the real focus today that companies should be intensely investing in, and something that we do at Korn Ferry in 60 countries around the world, and that is making leaders better, making managers better, making people come to an office or work remotely in an environment where they really feel valued. And by the way, then compensation becomes a little less important.
Hey, Alan, is there any sort of case where you could see someone saying, okay, I hear about how everybody's getting pay raises and I'm going to hold out and I'm going to get it? Are there situations where people just push their luck too far, even in this market?
That's been going on for a long time. I will tell you that holding a company for ransom is not a good strategy. That said, there are people that do find themselves getting a pay raise by, as you said, holding out or potentially threatening to leave. What I find there is that it kind of breaks down the relationship between the organization and that individual. Companies don't have short memories. And so perhaps later on a year down the line, that person's bonus may then be cut a little bit, or they may not get that promotion. So, dealing fairly the way you would want your company to deal with you is always the best way. And I think that holding companies for ransom piece is a short-term game